Let me start this over, right? This is from Redacted. Another channel y'all should watch. They're pretty much in the middle. Sometimes they lean towards Republicans, sometimes, but they're pretty much in the middle. I usually watch them every day, like when I get home from work. How do I, oh yeah, this right here, fair use, right? Fair use for the purposes such as criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research, right? So let's watch this clip. Oh.
Buckle up, because this is the crisis moment. This is
the crisis moment. What you just seen was a missile hitting Israel. That was a hypersonic missile. The Iron Dome didn't stop that. So what does that mean? They're going to need America if they want to survive. And remember that. That's the key part of what I want to get across today. Because Trump is running out of Trump. Like, I don't know if y'all have paid attention to politics. I watched the entire campaign, right? I was watching news before that, but I watched the entire campaign all the way up until Trump being elected, all the way up until now. Trump has been the to a degree, from through his words, has been the anti-war candidate, talking about, oh, we need to get out of the war with Ukraine. Still haven't done it. We need to avoid these other wars. These wars wouldn't have happened if I were in office, but for some reason this one did. But that's neither here nor there, right? But he's been trying to avoid war at all costs through his own words, right? But now America's greatest ally, apparently, right, have forced his hand by preemptively striking Iran. And Trump is running out of options to keep his hands clean and not get inside of this war. And the thing is, Israel swung first, knowing they had no hands whatsoever, right? And Iran has hands, and they have people who's ready to jump at any moment, right? Who have the ability to, right? Because anything can happen, but who have the ability to, right? And the only way to stop Israel from getting jumped and destroyed is for their big brother America to come bail them out. But when America does that, now you forcing Vladdy's hand. Now you're forcing Pushashti's hand. Now you forcing Xi Jinping's hand. I believe that's his name, right? However the pots and pans you say it, right? However the watch pot you say it, rather. Now you're forcing Brazil's hand. Now you're forcing India's hand. And you know what that looks like? That looks like World War III. That looks like Ezekiel 38. That looks like Revelation 18, Isaiah 13. All of this resulting in our salvation. Because this nation has to fall for us to be delivered. Watch this, right? Just really quickly. We're coming back. We're coming back. Just for a second. Let me read a Bible verse real fast. Best believe we're gonna read this Bible verse. Best believe we coming back to that second Esdras 16. What was I looking for? Wisdom of Solomon 18:7. Right? Wisdom of Solomon 18:7. It says, oh, is that on screen? Yeah, it is. Wisdom of Solomon 18:7. It says, so of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and the destruction of the enemies. Right? So for us to be saved, there has to be a destruction of our enemy. We have to accept it. For wherewith thou did punish our adversaries, by the same didst thou glorify us, whom thou hast called. So that we're waiting on this. People talking about pray for Israel, pray for Iran. What, y'all trying to pray against the Lord's plan? You can't prophesy against the Lord. You can't prophesy against Yahweh. He's the Lord of heaven's armies. You can't prophesy against his plan, bro. Right? And that's why all y'all gonna get set at naught. Because if God is with you, who can be against you, bro? Who can be against you? And God is with us. We're the ones who've been called. We are the righteous. So we have to accept through our salvation, there has to be a destruction. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. We're going to be talking about that evidently tonight. Stop showing screen. Let's get back into this clip, right? Oh, one more. I'm slacking one more before we go back into this clip, right? Because y'all saw that missile hit. This war ain't about to be like the war y'all have seen in the past, right? See, Isaiah 9:5 is for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And that's what you're seeing. When you saw that missile hit Israel, and when you see these missiles hit Iran, and when you see how this war is gonna play out, it's not gonna happen. Oh shoot. It's not gonna be what y'all see in Modern Warfare 1, 2, 3 or Black Ops 1, 2 and damn Infinity, because they can't come out with another Call of Duty game outside of Black Ops. Slack, you know, I play video games, right? But the things you see in Black Ops, that's not what's about to happen. You about to see missiles launched. And all praises for the Lord. All praise for the Lord, bro. Let's go back into this. Watch this clip. Let's hit this clip. Breaking news. Boom, let's get it.
Trump's crisis moment, a tearing apart of his own support base, neocons crawling out from the shadows, the evil slime, demonic warmongers like Lindsey Graham, now openly steering the United States foreign policy again. Game on, he writes, after the first bombs dropped. Neocon warmongers surrounding President Trump.
Pressure. Lindsey Graham, bro. Lindsey Graham's that dude. Have you ever had like a friend group and you got that one friend who's just like provoking and just causing provoking an ass whooping to happen? That's that dude. This guy's supposed to work for Trump, and this dude is provoking an ass whooping for Trump of epic proportions. That dude must. If Trump wants to save himself, you want to let that guy go.
Pressuring him to strike. What will his resolve be? All of this happening while true conservative isolationists, what I call George Washington conservatives, are screaming, stay out of the Middle East. It only hurts the United States. This is the greatest foreign policy test of Trump's entire career. False flag attacks across the United States, threats of sleeper cells, and a narrative being built in real time to push.
And imagine that. like that's gonna be crazy because look, and Trump is running out of options, bro. Because let's say he just tries to let them fight it out. Well, let's say they do that with the sleeper cell thing. Just imagine that. That would be crazy. Y'all thought 9/11 was bad. Imagine waking up and you seeing that on the news and damn near all the major cities. You got see, I don't even want to say that because of YouTube. Ooh, I don't want to say that because of YouTube. Right? Just imagine what he said. Just imagine what he said. Ooh.
Push us into war. Just a reminder, Trump's own administration confirmed that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
So what happens now?
Oh, they're not. Well, our research shows that they haven't built a bomb. Right? You know what that sounds like? Now, see, that sounds like George Bush talking about some weapons of mass destruction, right? Did they find weapons of mass destruction? No. But you know what George Bush found? Oil, poppies, and what's that? Oil, poppies, and just freaking money, right? That's what he found over there. There was no weapons of mass destruction, right? If anybody had weapons of mass destruction, it was the people coming over there and mass destroying villages like him and Obama, right? Obama was clicking a button, and the village is erased off the map. That's what was happening. So we see the same script happening again. Oh, well, we think they might have a bomb, right? So we're going to go over there and just start hitting them. Imagine that, right?
Next, we'll define the Trump presidency, maybe the survival of our republic itself. We'll get into all of that because over the past 24 hours, we've seen a massive escalation in this war. I woke up on this Father's Day, Sunday, to a boatload of news. By the way, happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there.
Yeah, and this was yesterday, right? So there's new developments. I think I got an alert about Trump sending troops to Israel. I think I got an alert about that. I got to look into that, but I wasn't prepared for that yet. So we're just going to continue with this.
Out there. So first, we need to bring you up to speed on the devastating escalation over the past 24 hours in the Israel-Iran war, because it's moving fast and it's changing the entire world order. BRICS nations lining up behind Iran.
Oh. BRICS nations lining up behind Iran, right? Watch this. Keep going.
Sending them weapons. Western countries like the United States and the UK and Germany now lining up as expected behind Israel.
The EU lining up behind Israel, right? So the lines are getting drawn in the sand, like the Axis powers and the other power, man, that we saw in World War and World War I and World War II, right? They're lining up behind these people and fighting proxy wars. The BRICS nations lining up behind Iran. Now, watch this. This is important to know, because let's go into something. We see this in prophecy. So let's go to. I hate that you can't show two screens on here no more. That's so annoying. I'm about to start streaming on OBS. I'm about to go right back to OBS. Let me see. Zechariah 1, and let's start at verse 18, right? So it says, then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, four horns, right? So this is the prophecy about the four horns and the four carpenters. So it says, then I lifted up mine eyes and saw and beheld four horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. That's the whole nation, the southern and the when you see something like that, like Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem, we know this is specifically talking about the entire nation as a whole. So when did that happen? If we can understand by looking at the prophecies, archaeology, people's own words in their biographies, right, attesting to them being Israelites, all of that, the Black, Spanish, and Native Americans attesting to being Israelites, when were they scattered? Because when you see in the Bible, like namely Leviticus 26 and 33, it talks about how it will be scattered into various other countries, right, for captivity, and he'll send a sword after us. And Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64, we'd be scattered into all nations, right, and we'll serve other nations and other gods which neither our fathers knew, you or your fathers known. This is talking about captivity. When did all of the nations go into captivity? The transatlantic slave trade, right? We all had various captivities in between, but all of us at the same time moving around and moving pieces going into captivity, the transatlantic slave trade. So who are these four horns? These are four horns that you see in Daniel. The 10 toes on the statue, the 10 horns, which you see that come out of that fourth beast, which is Rome, right? The first one being Spain, right? With the Spanish, you know what the Spanish did to the Hispanics. That's why they speak Spanish. Hispanic means to be owned by Spain, right? What they've done to the Hispanic tribes. The French, what they've done to the Haitians through their captivities in their part of the slave trade, right? And then and various other West Indian Israelites and South and parts of Africa, right, as well, right? And you have the UK or the Britannia or Great Britain, what they've done with also America, that little horn which you see in Daniel 7, right, where it mentions that these are the four horns. They're all the four key players of the transatlantic slave trade, which all this really just encompasses the EU just in general, right? The European structure and the European power source on America, right? So we see those being the four horns. Watch this. No, and the Lord showed me four carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. That's one of captivity. They're bowed down to them, right? So lifted up his head. By these are come to fray them. These are talking about the carpenters, come to fray the horns, to split the horns, to destroy the horns, right? To cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah, to scatter it, right? So these carpenters come to destroy this European power, right? This European power structure, So now we have the EU. What's directly opposed to the EU? The BRICS nations, right? Or the BRIC. And I have that pulled up because it originally was called the BRIC. They called the Big Four, right? You see this in, bro, I hate that I have to keep stopping in the screen to do this. The Big Four, right? BRICS, the BRICS nations. The nation is counter opposed, just like the European Union is a conglomerate of certain European nations, right? Specific European nations to make their economy stronger, to be a force on the earth. The counter and adversary to that is the BRIC nations, right? The Big Four originally was called Brazil, Russia, India, and China, which pretty much operate the same way as the European structure, but to counteract them, to have their own thing, right? To have their own economic power and allegiance. So we see in the BRICS nations, because like it became BRICS, but they added S because South America came, and Ethiopia and Iran and Egypt. All of that is important to know. All of that is important to know because when you see in Ezekiel chapter 38, in Ezekiel 38, it speaks of Gog and Magog, right? The chief prince of Meshach, right? We know that's looking at the prophecies, looking at his history, looking at who occupied that land. That same land is Russia. Who's the chief prince of that currently? Vladimir Putin, right? Now it says they're going to go to war. They're going to be dragged into war. And when you see farther down in that chapter, after, because I'm paraphrasing verse 4 in Ezekiel chapter 38, it talks about the nations that are going to be a guard unto it. One of those is, let me just pull that back up. Let me pull that right back up. Let me do this. We're going to build to a point. I forgot I could just do this. Right here, right? Let's just read it for him. Right? It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. It's talking about the chief prince of Meshach, Gog and Magog, right? It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, right? What's ancient Persia? I mean, where does Iran go back to? What's their ancient name? Persia. It says Ethiopia and Libya, South African countries and continents, right? Not continents, but just countries, right? Going back into the BRICS. Who's a part of the BRICS? Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran. It's key players in who's going to be yoked up with freaking Vladimir Putin and Gog and Magog, right? Or Gog and Magog. All of this we're seeing in prophecy about the four carpenters, and we're seeing the allies of the chief prince of Meshach all together, right? Watch this. Let's go back into Ezekiel 38, right? It says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, and all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands in the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. They're doing that right now. Unto them is the place. Unto them is the nations that it mentioned, right? The nations it mentioned right here: Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya. Oh, the same ones who are also allies to the BRIC nations and a part of the BRIC, right? He just mentioned, right, with the guy you see in redacted, they're lining up behind Iran. They're literally being a guard to him now. So if you see America step in, who's going to have to be dragged into that? Who's going to have hooks into their jaws to bring them into this battle, right? Vladimir Putin, Russia, right? That's how we see these prophecies being close to being fulfilled, right? We see in Zechariah 1. Let's go back to Zechariah 1. Zechariah 1. We see in Zechariah 1, these four carpenters are going to destroy. These four carpenters are going to destroy the four horns. These four horns is a representation of the beast, the European Union, European power structure here. They're going to destroy them. We know that's going to happen. We also see in Ezekiel 38 that Gog and Magog is going to be dragged into a war, right? And they're going to be a guard to their allies. What's one of their allies? Iran. Who did it just say is lined up behind Iran? The BRICS. Bro, God is real. I'm showing all this to let you know that we are so close. We've never been this close. We've never been this close. And the only thing that'll stop that is y'all going back into, like, y'all taking your hand off the plow and basically shirking your duty as an Israelite. If y'all continue to put as much work as you possibly can in, then all of this could just happen. We don't have to worry about no peace treaty. We don't have to keep worrying about going to work and barely making rent. I'm tired of doing that, to be honest, right? All we have to do is keep putting work in. Then we will see these carpenters, right? These people who are skillful to destroy, like when we look at the Hebrew word for carpenter, right? That word means somebody who's skillful to destroy, or a literal carpenter, or an artificer, right? These people are going to destroy this European power. That has to happen. This person, Gog, right? Gog and Magog, these people, this land has to be dragged into a war by the people who they're guard unto. We see that happening. That's Iran. Israel it gave us all the pieces we need to put together to make the puzzle called World War III. It's all there, right? That's why I said we need to get ready, bro. The war intensified. The war has intensified. Get ready. And as of me starting this live stream, more stuff has happened. I already know it. More stuff has happened. I'm already getting notifications about the troops that Trump sent there, and that's going to be important when we finish this. I watch it. Let's go a little bit more into this. We almost out of here, bro. I ain't gonna hold you, bro.
Iran's capital city on fire this morning. Massive airstrikes in Tehran a few hours ago. 15 airstrikes hit next to Iran's parliament building. They destroyed Iran's IRGC headquarters. The Iranian Intelligence Ministry building in Tehran no longer exists. It's now gone. Then Israel struck Iran's nuclear agency headquarters. The escalation is happening in real time after Iran sent a devastating attack on Israel overnight. I stayed up late watching all the developments in Israel as Iran was attacking and destroying Israel's main missile factory, military installations in Haifa, after Israel struck oil refineries in Iran. Then Iran destroyed Israel's key oil refinery, which supplies over 60% of oil refining capacity to Israel. Hundreds of missiles hitting downtown Tel Aviv, which in many areas turned to rubble. It almost looks like Gaza. It's hard to tell the difference.
Those cars destroyed and debris everywhere. Now I am the collateral.
And that's crazy. Like, oh no, I need y'all to hear what he's gonna say.
Damage. I look horrified at what happens in Gaza, but now it's like in my back door.
Israel says,
now it's in my see, and that's what's gonna happen with America very soon. Y'all see all these some people who were in tune with what's going on in the world. They see what's happening in Gaza. It's a literal genocide, but nobody's going to do anything about it for some reason, right? They see all the leveling of Gaza, and they said they've seen that on the news and stuff like that, but now it's at my backyard. And, that's what's going to happen to America. That's going to happen to Americans. And it ain't because of what we said. It ain't because of anybody's going to have an uprising, rather. It's going to be because God said so. God is going to make it so to this place. That's Isaiah 13. It's happening. At Jeremiah 51, it's happening. So they don't got to worry about, because I already know, the Hebrew Israelites, you're trying to just go up against America. We're actually, to be honest, we're just watching it happen. We're just watching how the whole script is going to play out by Yahweh, by Hashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai, bro. That's all we doing. We just telling y'all what's going to happen before it happened, like the prophets of old. who prophesied against many kingdoms and about pestilence and famine and war. That's what we're doing.
Targeting and assassinating Iran's leader Khomeini is now on the table. I'm sure Iran feels that same way about Netanyahu. Meanwhile, Iran says no peace, no peace talks.
I can't stand the way this dude
is now on the table. I'm sure Iran feels that same way about Netanyahu.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at. Like I'm gonna say it, man. No, I don't even care if it's bitching Yahoo right here, right? Look at this dude's head. He got that square head from that movie Up, bro. Look at this dude gets to call himself God's chosen people with that square ass head. Like I just can't hate these people. I'm sorry. It's just it look like Up, bro.
Meanwhile, Iran says no peace.
Hold on. It's a 3.5. Hold on. Let me see that. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. That's what his head look like, bro. That's what Buddy head look like. It's like it, bro. I just don't like Buddy, man.
Iran says that's canceled. Done. I know that's shocking, right? You mean you don't want to have talks with the people that just killed your top military commanders, assassinated your nuclear scientists? Shocking. Why wouldn't you want to sit down and have dinner with those people? Israel, for its part, has now declared full air superiority over Iranian skies, which raised a lot of eyebrows with that statement. Weird, because as UN Weapons Inspector Scott Ritter just posted, if Israel has established air superiority over Iran, how is it that Iran can launch a daylight missile attack on Israel?
That's a great question. I'm trying to figure that out too. So if Israel has air superiority, they're controlling it. It's just like when you're playing Call of Duty, you get that easy kill streak, the UAV. You got air superiority. You're controlling what's going on in there. You know where everybody's at. You have complete control over the airs, right? If they have that, how is Iran just willy-nilly just shooting missiles at daytime, during the daytime, not under the cover at night, at daytime, striking your land? That sounds like propaganda. You know, I need a soundboard for that. That's going to be my soundboard. Propaganda, right?
Good question. There's a lot of propaganda happening right now.
Oh, he said it
and
too.
As Colonel McGregor pointed out last night, what Israel wanted was provocation. And they got it. Quote, in less than 18 hours after Israel's surprise attack, Iran responded, firing hundreds of ballistic missiles, including hypersonic missiles, into central Tel Aviv and across Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's Iron Dome failed. Israeli intelligence failed. So now Netanyahu is pleading with Washington to intervene with American military power to rescue Israel from certain defeat, a defeat Netanyahu crafted with encouragement from Washington. So think about that for a second. Israel knew it couldn't beat Iran, and any military expert worth his salt knows that unless they're lying to you. So this was all planned. Launch the attack and then beg Trump, beg Germany, beg the UK to come in and help.
You see that? Oh my God. Oh, you know, the people who are the horns in Zechariah 1 to beg Trump, right? That's America, that's one, the little horn, and the UK. Right, and the other two are inside the European Union, who's also their allies. The four horns that scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem to join a war to fight against the BRICS nations, the four carpenters. And we know how that's gonna go. That's like, look at this, bro. God is a real and just God, bro. Look at this. It's great.
More on that part of the story in a second, because this was a trap set for Trump. And he walked right into it, or he walked into it intentionally. As Daniel Estelin said, this was all done to entrap President Trump, forcing him into this war. Watch.
But Israel's strike on Iran, and I'll get to Trump in a second, Trump's helplessness, Trump's confusion, the split in MAGA, where the overwhelming majority is against Israel in general and against Christian Zionism of these neocons. We do, unfortunately, and I really do mean unfortunately, Alex, Trump has fallen into a real trap, and from all sides. He did not get out of the war with Russia and Ukraine. He got involved in the war with Iran on the side of Israel.
And guess what? Iran fell for it. Then they were attacked, and Iran didn't take 2 months to respond like the last time. Iran immediately launched a massive retaliatory barrage, hundreds of ballistic and cruise missiles targeting key Israeli military sites. This was Friday night. They even hit Israel's version of the Pentagon.
Trey, I know they don't want you to show it, but how badly was their version of the Pentagon, Israel's version of the Pentagon, hit?
Footage from Iran.
Look at the freaking news reporter, bro. Look at the news reporter. Wait, hold up.
Trey,
This dude is not confident. This dude knows his life is in danger right now. But besides the point, they hit Israel's version of the Pentagon. Imagine another country doing that to America. You know how when you talk to your coworkers, they think America's going to last forever. Nothing's going to happen here. Imagine that happens and they successfully do that. Niggas' hearts will drop. You know what it talks in the Bible about somebody's countenance fell? Their countenance will fall below the earth, right? Hell's going to move up before that. You know, in Isaiah 5, it's about hell's moving to freaking. Oh man, I'm not talking about Dante's Inferno. I'm talking about the ground. I'm talking about the grave, right? I don't want anybody to get silly. But imagine if that happened in America. Just imagine. Everybody would be up in arms. Everybody would be in a state of confusion.
they don't want you to show it, but how badly was their version of the Pentagon, Israel's version of the Pentagon, hit?
Footage from Iranian state TV shows missiles lighting up the sky, hitting targets all over Israel. So much for that Iron Dome, or the Arrow system, or any of the other systems that Israel has. As Colonel Mack pointed out, it failed. How did it fail? Well, we now know that Iran launched hundreds of 20 to 30-year-old missiles. The Iron Dome went after them. And then, while they were going after the 30-year-old missiles, Iran launched this state-of-the-art new missiles, hypersonic missiles that flew right through Israel's defenses, hitting targets like this one in Haifa. You can see the older missiles dancing up in the Iron Dome skies, and then watch the new missiles hitting their targets. Nearly all missiles that Iran fired in this wave were 20 to 30-year-old models. Israel can't stop them, and oh, by the way, no one in the West can stop them either. Can you imagine one of these hypersonic missiles hitting a U.S. aircraft carrier? Sitting ducks.
Sitting ducks. Sitting ducks. Bro, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Let that let anything like that happen here. Niggas aren't gonna know what to do. They're not gonna know what to do. And the reason why we know they're gonna hit is because God is true. Let's get the Bible on it. Let's get some Bible on it real quick. Let's get some Bible on it. Damn, I don't want to do it like that. I'm gonna figure it out to where I can to do this every time. I don't have to do this every time. I don't like the way I said that. Second Esdras 16 to 13. You know we was reading it. Right? It says, "For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they began to be shot into the ends of the world." These aren't literal arrows, right? These are the arrows you just seen. The ones that hit Tel Aviv, the ones that hit Iran. They're not gonna miss. They're gonna do their damage, bro. Because they can't stop no hypersonic missiles. There's no stopping it. Look at it. Verse 14. Behold, the plagues are sent, and they shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Man, I'm telling you, right? That's where we're at right now. That's what we're seeing in this war. It's crazy work. So let's go back into this. Right. We're almost done. We are almost done.
And late Friday, Iran's elite Quds force broadcast a video of direct hits on Israeli air bases. This wasn't symbolic. It was overwhelming. Multiple air bases destroyed. It wasn't broadcast on Israeli TV. And sources are telling Redacted that Iran struck targets in Israel, killing some of Israel's top scientists as well in this attack that you're seeing here on your screen. So, in other words, you kill our scientists, we kill your scientists. This is descending into chaos. Israel working around the clock to dig bodies out of rubble in
Salakia, bro. I forgot I hit the mute button. That's wild. I was just saying a whole bunch of stuff. Y'all didn't hear none of that. What I was saying is this, right? There's 34 people in here. Hit that like button. You know, if you really love God and your brethren, hit the like button. Share the video, right? If you're getting that good word, because you know certain Hebrew Israelites, you know, they're not talking about the war, right? They're talking about repentance. I get it. You know, we got to repent. We've been in this for a while. I mean, at this point, if you haven't repented, I mean, you're gonna have to catch up. But right now we're moving on to bigger and better things, more important, pertinent things for the time period, right? You know, like in Hebrew 6, we after laying aside the early principles of the word of God, we move on to bigger and greater things, right? So share the video, right? Super chat if it be on your heart. And if you don't want to give Esau your money, you want to directly support the ministry, Cash App, the Masada DTX, right? And, back to our regularly scheduled program.
In Tel Aviv, Iran digging bodies out of rubble in Tehran. So in war, no one wins. No one. Meanwhile, Russia and China have condemned Israel's actions, calling them perverted and not remotely self-defense. And North Korea also now throwing its support behind Iran, saying they will come to Iran's defense. Great. They've warned that continued strikes will be interpreted as illegal aggression. So what will Russia and China do now? Remember, Iran is a big ally. China gets most of its oil from Iran. Will Russia and China just allow their ally Iran to collapse into a heap of rubble? No. And that brings us to the domestic side of the crisis. Back here in the United States, mainstream media, along with paid shills, have begun ramping up talking points, warning that Iranian sleeper cells are right now inside the United States, waiting to launch a terror attack on all of us. Now, if that sounds familiar, it should. Former CIA officer Larry Johnson says, quote, "It's the same script they've used for Iraq, the exact same one. Plant fear, talk about weapons or sleeper cells, push the president into war." Does anyone remember the anthrax scare? The yellow cake uranium lie, the chemical weapons hoax in Syria, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, the babies in incubators in Iraq?
Oh, this is wild.
While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators, and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Yeah, all of these were lies. All of these used as justification for war.
One small problem. There never were any incubator baby deaths, not one. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation's investigative flagship program, The Fifth Estate, reveals the girl to be the Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter, given her lines and coached in acting by the giant American PR firm Hill and Knowlton.
Now they're talking about Iranian Hezbollah operatives in Michigan,
We
New
live in a
York,
corrupt
sleeper
country.
cells. It's the neocon playbook, and it's being run again, just with new villains. Turns out this weekend, America's biggest threat is leftist Democrats who carried out assassinations against lawmakers in Minnesota.
We don't have any direct links. However, there were some flyers that said no kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a no kings event.
Opening fire on LAPD, shooting people in the middle of Salt Lake City.
Oh my God, that's a gun. That's a gun.
Wasn't Iranian sleeper cells, it was leftist nutjobs and Antifa. Meanwhile, inside Trump's own movement right now, there is a war underway. On the one side, the neocon deep state faction, Lindsey Graham, Mike Pompeo, and now even General Mike Flynn, calling for all-out war with Iran. Flynn said yesterday, quote, "Trust me, Iran is in big trouble." Neocon Nikki Haley telling Trump to finish them off. Then on the other side, old school conservatives, constitutionalists, anti-war libertarians, Ron Paul types, people who remember George Washington's farewell address when Washington said, quote, "It's our true policy to steer clear of permanent alliances with any portion of the foreign world against the insidious wiles of foreign influence," end quote. In short, stay out of their wars. Stay out of their traps. But that warning is being ignored. And at the center of it all is Trump.
You get money.
And Trump is trapped right now. Maybe, just maybe, he wants to be trapped. All part of the plan, perhaps. We now know that during the supposed nuclear peace talks with Iran, Trump was secretly coordinating with Israel behind the scenes to prepare for this strike. According to diplomatic insiders, Iran was blindsided. Trump was even sending Hellfire missiles to Israel 2 days before the attack. What the shit? Iran says that.
So right before it happened, he sent them 300 Hellfire missiles. That's crazy, bro. This country, bro. This country, what I tell you. It's just the fact that they say so much about Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This is what y'all do, bro. You're funding it on both sides.
Trump betrayed them, and they called off the nuclear talks. And then Trump posted this on Truth Social yesterday saying he, along with every member of his administration, wants peace with Iran. Really? Okay. I really want to be friends with you, but first let me kill your kids. How's that going to go?
That's what he did. I want to have peace talks, but we're just going to we're going to let these people blow you up, and we're going to fund it. But we still need you to come to the table to talk about this. We still got to figure this thing out. No, they're not. Of course, they're going to call it off because you sound like when you look at this. Look. See, one more Bible. Let me get another Bible verse for y'all. Let me get some of that good old Bible. Let me get some of that word for you. Let me use some of that news you can use. Right. Revelation 13:11. Is, "And I beheld another beast," this is America, coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right? There's a saying, right? There's a saying that says, actions speak louder than words. So you can say you want to come to the table and have some kind of nuclear agreement with us, but your actions is telling me you want war because you're funding people who are actively trying to destroy me. That's what America's doing. That's what this other beast does. Got two horns like a lamb, like it's peaceful and things like that. But that's what Trump's doing, like with his little Truth Social message. I've never seen a president tweet so much in my life. But you got these two horns like a lamb, but your words are speaking like a dragon, like an oppressor. This is that other beast, bro. This is what we're living in. This is what we have to deal with. So no wonder no wonder Iran called off the peace talks. What they say in Psalms, the words are smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
Days before the attack. What the shit? Iran says that Trump betrayed them and they called off the nuclear talks. And then Trump posted this on Truth Social yesterday saying he, along with every member of his administration, wants peace with Iran. Really? Okay. I really want to be friends with you, but first let me kill your kids. How's that going to go? Not good. Tucker Carlson wrote on Twitter, if Trump was helping Israel plan the strike while pretending to hold peace talks with Iran, then this is one of the most dishonest acts of his presidency. Remember, Tucker Carlson campaigned for Trump.
Yeah, that's one of the most that is being a devil. Like you're a deceiver. You're like we see diabolos in the Greek. That's deception. You're pretending to broker a deal with me, but at the same time you're arming the people who's actively destroying them. Specifically arming them to do this attack to destroy them. and then don't have the balls to join the battle yourself. And then after doing both of those things, you now want me to sit down with you. Like that, what? This is crazy work.
Even help Trump get elected. It also turned out that any rift between Netanyahu and Trump was total BS, all a fake story to lull Iran into a false sense of security about a peace deal. Trump is now at a crisis moment. So what happens next? Well, with peace talks off the table, Iran threatening further retaliation, and neocons openly demanding military action, this is the powder keg moment. We are standing on the edge of World War III. And the person being squeezed from both sides right now is Trump, surrounded by people like Mike Flynn, Lindsey Graham, Israeli advisors pushing him towards escalation. And then on the other side, by millions of betrayed supporters who thought America first meant staying out of these foreign entanglements.
Yeah,
Trump was confronted by a reporter.
They voted for that. They voted for America first, staying out of Ukraine, staying out of the Middle East. And you know what they've got? Israel first, staying inside of the Ukraine and inside of the Middle East. They literally got it's like when Israel wanted a king and they got Saul. It's literally that. Y'all got Saul in front of the entire the globe.
About why he's putting Israel first and not America first. And Trump said, quote, well, considering that I'm the one that developed America first, and considering that the term wasn't used until I came along, I think I'm the one that decides. In other words, America first can mean anything neocons want it to mean, anything Trump
can mean whatever. America first. Since I came out with America first, those two words together. So I came up with that ideology. It can mean whatever I want it to mean. So America's first. I could wake up in the morning. It could mean Trump first. America first can mean Israel first. America first could just be whatever the hell I want it to be. I'm Trump. You voted for me. Here's my second term. There's nothing you could do about it. That's the type of person that y'all niggas voted for, bro. You see in Daniel where it talks about the Lord putting the basest of men as rulers and kings. That's what y'all have right now. That's what we're in right now, bro. And the crazy part about it, like this one thing I love, I said this a few days ago in my live. Trump is not a war president. He's not built for it. He already is erratic in his movements, right, as it is right now, currently. Right? Imagine this man at wartime having to deal with wartime decision making, and he's already erratic. Y'all, this is when you see in Second Esdras, I think it's either 13 or 15, I forgot which one, where it talks about there be insurrections and unstable leaders. Y'all about to see that now. We're there. All right, this is crazy.
Sides that it means. Side note, America First was used long before Trump came along. Campaign posters for Republicans used it starting in the mid-1800s. And before World War II, the America First Committee laid it out to prevent us from getting into foreign wars in Europe. So Trump didn't create it, of course. So what now? MAGA supporters are watching the man they voted for behave like another Bush-era warmonger.
Mm-hmm.
So does Trump truly want peace, or is he doing the bidding of neocons and warmongers? This is a defining moment, not just for Trump, but for the entire America First movement. The choice between him is clear. Follow the neocons into war, or return to the non-interventionist George Washington vision that got him elected in 2016, where he stood up to Jeb Bush.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
One path leads.
So what are you doing now, Trump? So what's the plan now? You know, you see, it was a big giant mistake. We destabilized. You didn't just destabilize the Middle East. You destabilized the entire world with your guys' actions existing on it. But now you're going full hypocrite mode, and like, I'm about to be over there with. Like I just saw. I mean, like I'm saying, like I saw stuff about Trump sending troops over there. I'm gonna watch that when I get off live, which is gonna be pretty soon, because I gotta be up at 5. So we're almost done today.
To destruction. The other leads to national survival. So that's the crazy news update part of today's video on this Father's Day. Now I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, which is tied directly to everything we're just talking about, with the BRICS nations buying up as many precious minerals as they can, throwing their support right now behind Iran. This week, gold closed out the week at the highest ever level.
And he's pretty much going to get everybody to go buy his gold stuff. So, that's pretty much it for today, man. It's crazy. I just woke up to that. I know it was going live. Something's going to happen going live. I saw that yesterday, and I was like, yeah, let's talk about that. It's just y'all got to realize, like, stuff's moving so fast. I literally could go live every day. Just like you see Ariella, he's live right now. Rob's live right now. Various people, like, it's happening so fast that we all have a news article we could go into. And that's where we at right now, bro. If you playing a game like before the pandemic, you should have been playing games, but now playing games right now with the Father, it's not the time. It's not the time. It's not the place. You have no excuse at this point, right? That's why I said the last 2 words of this title is get ready. Get your ass ready. If you're not on the streets, get your butt on the streets, right? If you're not in the camp to do that, or you don't have any brothers near you can just go do the work with, right? Do something, right? Send alms to the prophets. Go find a camp. Go send them some food or something. Find a way, help them. The people who are actually doing the work, somebody who helps a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. Do that. Not everybody's meant to be in the army. Not everybody's meant to be a soldier, right? But what you can do is support. Not just us, but those who are here laboring, especially the ones you learn from, right? Also, just do better, right? I even say that to myself. Just do better. We all need to do better, right? Seeing how close we are to our salvation, like we don't have any more time. Like, but yeah, like before I get out of this, don't forget to like, share. Like the video, man, if you love God, man. Share the video if you were edified. Leave a super chat, super thanks if it be on your heart. What else, right? If you don't want to give Esau your money, Cash App the Masada DTX. Got more videos coming up. Got a debate on Sunday coming up against Edomat. Y'all see that pretty shortly. Just stay tuned. Got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts. Got a lot of different things. I'm gonna start going live a little bit more often, and not just on Wednesdays, right? So just stay in the loop, and don't forget to follow us on IG. I put a reel up on IG. Sorry, I got like 3 or 4. I got 3 or 4 in the chamber. I'm gonna let off on IG and TikTok. I'm gonna have more of a presence on there as well as time permits. But with that, I'm going to say, call halal Yahweh, Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai, and Shalom.